We are going over file permissions in this episode, and I've just opened up a arbitrary directory. I've listed the contents of the directory with the ls-al flag, so I'm listing everything plus its permissions. So the first thing that we need to understand is that there are three basic permissions in the Unix file system. Unix is the basis. In case you don't know what Unix is, it's the basis, or it's like the evolutionary ancestor of macOS and Linux systems. But there's three basic permissions. Read, you can read a file. Write, you can write a file, write to it. Or 3x, you can execute a file, and you'll see these denoted by here. So if you see a file with these permissions, you know, if you see it with R, you know you can read it. W, you can write it. X, you can execute it. We also have this D flag right here, which just means that that is a directory. And yes, directories are files. No, I cannot really get into that right now, but eventually, hopefully we will. So you're like, okay, we have three basic file permissions, read, write, and execute. Why the heck am I seeing this 3 times? Well, there's different users. Say you're running a corporate network. You have a bunch of different users. You have a bunch of different groups. You might have one group for your tech team, one group for your marketing team, one group for the regular staff, whatever, I don't know. So each of these groups is going to have different access to different files. So every user will have different types of access based on their privileges, and groups will have different accesses. So these first 3 letters right here, RWX, these are the user permissions, followed by the group permissions, and then the other permissions are the last one. So it's user, group, other. And if you come over here, this is probably a little easier to read. You see our user permissions are all the way to the left, followed by the group permissions, followed by the other permissions. Did I just make this bigger? Okay, nice. I probably should have just used this in the first place. So, other is just anyone in the computer can do this. We're group, so there'll be different types of groups. As you can see on my macOS, everything is group staff, and then the user is me, and that's because these files were created by me. I'm also the owner of these files. So we have the user, we have the group column, we have the size of the file, we have when it's created, and there's permissions. That's great and all. So what if I wanted to change the permissions on a file? Well, we have our a.out executable right here. What if I wanted to change the permissions? Well, for that we have the chmod command. Let me see if I can do this. Man chmod. Aha. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with man, but it is a manual that's in your computer and you didn't even know about it. So we just type in man followed by a command. So I type man chmod and it says, name chmod, change file modes, or access control list. And on a quick note here, this is very important for cybersecurity because part of cybersecurity is, having the right permissions for your files, who can access what. So we have these numerical permissions. I hate these. Yeah, read through this on your own. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I just wanted to show you guys that that is a possibility. But we can get out of this with what's called less interface by typing in Q. So we can do chmod u minus x a.out, and then we would do ls-a, and we will grep for a.out. So grep is just a search tool. So, oh my god, we're just getting all over the place right now. But basically, what I'm saying in this command is list all the contents of this directory, and once you get that data, search for the a.out file. We'll go over the pipe character and grep later, or you can look at it on your own because my tutorials on this are actually trash compared to my programming tutorials, but whatever. So we do that, and you'll see that we have our a.out file. Its permission has changed. I removed the executable permission from the user, and I don't think I'll be able to run this, but I might be able to. Yeah, I can't. So permission denied /a.out. and we can restore the permission by doing u plus x dot backslash a dot out. Oh, I need to do chmod u plus x dot backslash a dot out. And we restored our executable permission to a dot out, at least for the Corey Gardner user. You'll also notice that I have a main.c file. So if I wanted to read the main.c file, I could do head main.c. And right now there's only one line in the file. That is the note reminder for what I'm going to do in the next tutorial. But let's say I wanted to remove all the read permissions from this file. I would do chmod u group other ugo minus r. We'll just do u minus r. Oh, ugo minus r main.c. Do ls-a grep main.c. You'll see that we only have write permissions to this main.c file. Now, if I try to get the contents of main.c, I get the permission denied. So, let me just go over the chmod command. We have the, I want to call this the place of the permission that we want to affect. So user group other, then we have the type of permission, read, and we want to subtract that from these entities. We can restore these by doing chmod ugo plus r main.c, and our file permissions will be restored. You can also do things like chmod plus 700 main.c. Chmod 700 main.c. And there's a whole little code with these numerical ones. The chmod 700 just turns off everything except for the user. If we look at the permission before, we had the, where is it? Main.c had the read write had read for what is it? Group and other. So we're just going to restore that. So chmod group plus other plus read main.c. We'll see our file permissions changed once again. Alrighty, well, so we know that there's 3 different file permissions. Well, there's actually 4, but the other one is very complex, and I'm only good at that one for Linux, so we're going to go over that later when I learn it for macOS. But we have the 3 flags, R, WX, read, write, and execute. Those flags can be applied to user, group, or the world, aka other. User is whatever user owns a file. Group is whatever group. Multiple users can be in a group. Then we have other, which is pretty much anyone on the system. Then we have the D flag, which means that the file is a directory. And actually, let me do this. We can do make dir foo hog, and we'll just do ls-a. I was doing a review on you guys, but now we can do chmod minus ugo minus read write execute foo ls foo. Okay. So when I subtract read write and execute permissions from a directory, we cannot list the contents of that directory, which is cool. We'll just reverse this really quick by doing ugo. Can I delete the directory? rm-srf foo. I believe we went over this before, but it's remove recursively the directory. And see if we get permission denied. So removing a file is actually writing the file. Is actually considered writing a file. Fun fact, you actually don't delete anything on your computer. You just remove the trace of the directory. But anyway, we will restore the permissions to the foo, and we will just remove foo. So when you remove read permissions from a directory, the directory cannot have its contents list. But anyway, that is it for this episode. I hope you learned a little bit about Unix file permissions They are very simple. Be sure to subscribe to my podcast. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned something.